Moby Dick by Herman Melville. A young man who asks that we call him Ishmael finds himself overcome with a grim melancholy and an irresistible urge for the sea. A former schoolmaster with little money and a philosophical bent, he decides that a whaling voyage is the perfect cure for his spiritual ills. He travels from Manhattan to New Bedford, Massachusetts, a bustling port town, with the intention of shipping out from the historic island of Nantucket, the cradle of the American whaling industry. Arriving in New Bedford on a cold December night, Ishmael seeks lodging at the Spouter Inn, a curious old place owned by Peter Coffin. The inn is adorned with whaling relics and a large, perplexing oil painting depicting a ship and a whale in a chaotic storm. With the inn being full, Ishmael is told he must share a bed with a harpooneer who is out late trying to sell a shrunken head from New Zealand. Wary, but with no other options, Ishmael agrees. Late in the night, their mysterious bedfellow arrives, a powerfully built Polynesian man, covered from head to toe in intricate tattoos. This is the harpooneer, Queequeg. After a tense first encounter involving a tomahawk that doubles as a pipe, the two men settle in for the night. Ishmael's initial fear gives way to a profound sense of camaraderie, and upon waking to find Queequeg's tattooed arm thrown affectionately over him, he realizes he has found a true friend. The two become inseparable, or married as Queequeg calls it, vowing to sail on the same ship. After a strange Sabbath spent in the whaleman's chapel, where Ishmael contemplates the marble tablets memorializing sailors lost at sea, they take a packet schooner to Nantucket. There, following the guidance of Queequeg's small wooden idol, Yojo, Ishmael alone seeks out a ship. He is drawn to the Pequod, a seasoned and somber vessel, weathered by decades of voyages and strangely ornamented with the bones and teeth of whales. Ishmael meets the ship's owners, the retired Quaker captains Peleg and Bildad. Peleg is gruff and profane, while Bildad is stern and stingy, but both are impressed by Ishmael's determination and Queequeg's skill, which the harpooneer demonstrates by throwing his harpoon from the ship's deck to strike a tiny tar spot on the water. They are both signed on, but the ship's commander, Captain Ahab, remains unseen, secluded in his cabin and said to be recovering from a grave illness. As Ishmael and Queequeg leave the wharf, they are twice accosted by a ragged, crazed-looking man named Elijah, who delivers cryptic warnings about Ahab and the voyage, planting a seed of foreboding in Ishmael's mind. The Pequod sets sail on a cold Christmas day. For several days, Ahab remains a phantom, his presence only felt through the orders relayed by his mates. Ishmael becomes acquainted with the ship's officers. The chief mate is Starbuck, a thoughtful and deeply conscientious Nantucket Quaker, a man of immense courage but grounded in pragmatism and a sense of duty to his family and the ship's owners. The second mate is Stubb, a cheerful, easy-going fellow from Cape Cod, perpetually smoking a short pipe and treating the deadliest dangers with a fatalistic good humor. The third mate is Flask, a short, pugnacious man from Martha's Vineyard who holds a belligerent grudge against all whales, viewing them as a personal affront. Along with Queequeg, the other harpooneers are Tashtego, a proud gay-head Indian, and Dagu, a gigantic imperial African. One morning, Ahab finally appears on the quarterdeck, and in his presence electrifies the ship. He is a tall, imposing figure, scarred and grim, with a livid white line tracing its way down his face and disappearing into his clothing. He stands on a prosthetic leg carved from the polished jawbone of a sperm whale. He is a man consumed by a silent, brooding intensity, and his crew watches him with a mixture of awe and apprehension. One afternoon, Ahab summons the entire crew to the quarterdeck. In a fiery display, he nails a Spanish gold doubloon on the mainmast, promising it to the man who first sights a specific whale, a great white sperm whale with a wrinkled brow, a crooked jaw, and 3 holes in his starboard fluke. The harpooneers recognize the description as that of Moby Dick, a whale of legendary ferocity. Ahab then reveals his true, monomaniacal purpose for the voyage. It was Moby Dick who took his leg, and he has sworn vengeance. He declares they will hunt the white whale to the ends of the earth. Caught in the grip of his charismatic madness, the crew roars its approval, sealing their oath in a ritualistic drink of grog from the sockets of their harpoons. Only Starbuck protests, calling it madness to seek vengeance on a dumb brute. But even he is ultimately swayed by Ahab's powerful will and his own sense of duty. From that moment on, the Pequod is no longer merely a commercial whaler. It is an instrument of Ahab's vengeance. The ordinary business of whaling continues, but only as a means to maintain the crew's morale and mask the captain's singular, all-consuming quest. During their first whale hunt, a strange and startling secret is revealed. As the boats are lowered, a small private crew emerges from the hold, men Ahab had smuggled aboard. They are led by a silent, turbaned Parsee named Fadallah, a figure of ghostly mystique who becomes Ahab's constant shadow and seems to hold a strange prophetic influence over him. The voyage proceeds, marked by a series of encounters or gams with other ships, each serving as a milestone on their dark journey. They meet a ship that has heard rumors of Moby Dick, and another, the Jeroboam, afflicted with an epidemic and under the sway of a mad Shaker prophet named Gabriel, who warns Ahab against his blasphemous quest. Later, they encounter the English whaler, the Samuel Enderby, whose captain also lost a limb, an arm, to the white whale. Unlike Ahab, however, this captain is jovial and has accepted his fate, warning Ahab to let the beast alone. Ahab, enraged by his pragmatism, departs abruptly. The ship is battered by a severe typhoon, during which eerie supernatural flames, corpuscents or St. Elmo's fire, dance on the tips of the masts. Ahab, seeing this as an omen, lighting his way to his foe, delivers a defiant speech to the flames, further terrifying his crew. In the storm's aftermath, he discovers the lightning has inverted his compasses. Scornfully he smashes his quadrant, the instrument of celestial navigation, declaring he will steer by dead reckoning alone, a testament to his rejection of all higher guidance in favor of his own iron will. Later, The log line, another tool of navigation, breaks. During these events, the ship's young black cabin boy, Pip, who had previously been driven mad by the terror of being abandoned in the open ocean for a time, becomes attached to Ahab, who sees in the boy's insanity a reflection of a deeper divine truth, and takes him under his protection. As they near the Pacific cruising grounds where Moby Dick is most often sighted, a man falls from the masthead and drowns. The life buoy meant to save him sinks, and Queequeg offers his own coffin, which he had the ship's carpenter build when he believed he was dying of a fever, as a replacement. The coffin is caulked, pitched, and hung at the stern, a constant, grim reminder of their mortality. They finally speak the Rachel, a ship whose captain, a man Ahab knows from Nantucket, is frantically searching for his own lost whaleboat, which contains his 12-year-old son. He begs Ahab to join the search, but Ahab, with his prize now so near, coldly refuses, choosing his vengeance over this desperate plea for human compassion. This act seals his tragic isolation from mankind. At last, on a clear, brilliant day, Ahab himself sights the great white whale. For 3 days, a relentless and epic chase ensues across the serene Pacific. On the first day, Moby Dick turns on his pursuers with intelligent malice, and with a sweep of his jaw he bites Ahab's boat in two. Ahab is tossed into the sea, but is rescued, his spirit undaunted. On the second day, the chase continues. The whale again attacks the boats, tangling their lines and smashing 2 of them to pieces. When the chaos clears, Fedallah, the Parsee, is missing, dragged down by the fouled lines. Ahab's ivory leg is also snapped off in the fray. As night falls, he recalls Fedallah's prophecy, that Fedallah would go before him as a pilot, that Ahab would see 2 hearses before he died, one not made by mortal hands, and the other made of American wood, and that only hemp could kill him. On the 3rd day, Ahab spots his foe once more. Starbuck, seeing the captain's doomed obsession, makes one last desperate plea for him to turn back, but Ahab is immovable. As they lower for the final time, they see the mangled body of Fedallah, lashed to the whale's back by the snarl of harpoon lines, the first unearthly hearse of the prophecy. Moby Dick, seeming to understand that the ship is the true source of his persecution, turns from the boats and charges directly at the Pequod. He smashes his forehead into its hull, staving in the planks. As the ship begins to founder, the second hearse, made of American wood, Tashtego, high on the mainmast, attempts to nail a flag to the mast. A sea hawk becomes entangled in the flag, and as the ship sinks, the Indian's hammer traps the bird, and the living emblem of heaven is dragged down with the damned vessel. In the midst of this destruction, Ahab, in his lone damaged boat, hurls his final harpoon. The line runs foul, catches him around the neck, and he is silently plucked from the boat and pulled into the depths by the whale he hunted. The Pequod sinks into a vortex, taking the entire crew with it. The great shroud of the sea rolls on, leaving no trace. Only one man survives. Thrown from Ahab's boat, Ishmael floats on the edge of the whirlpool until Queequeg's coffin, now a life buoy, shoots up from the depths. Clinging to it, he drifts for a day and a night on the empty ocean, an orphan, until he is rescued by the searching, grieving Rachel.